Awesome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Chris Davis. This is my Couch to Content series. For those who don't know me, I am a realtor in Maine, the most beautiful state in all of the US, I like to say. And I'm currently on vacation on a beautiful part of Maine called Boothbay Harbor. This is not my house, but it's a house I love to stay at, especially in the summer. And this is my 5th month in teaching in Real Academy. And they say you always learn by doing. And so I'll start this off by saying I love to create content and I love to use Instagram more than anything. And so if you were to kind of equate a vibe or a flavor with what I do, my content is very lifestyle focused. I'd say, I don't know, 70% lifestyle, maybe 30% real estate. In the typical kind of vlog, have a little microscope into my life. So a lot of what I talk about and a lot about what I like to share with folks like you all who have generously given me some time today are just things that I've learned and things that have worked well for me in my business. And hopefully we can collaborate throughout today's session to help all of us out. So if that sounds great, I thought it would be awesome, though I'm never one to move past the summer, especially in Maine, where we have about a 3-month summer and a good year. But it's always a great time to start prepping for the fall. I don't know about you, but I get wrapped up in the busyness of our careers and our world, and I don't always take the moments to look 3 to 4 months ahead. And so I, in part of professional development for myself, thought this would be a really good way to start thinking about the fall in terms of our content production and creation and how that can help us gear towards a lucrative 2024 by focusing on the next 5 months to really crank with our pipeline and the connections we're making in our community. So how does that sound? Give me a thumbs up, or Alyssa's given me this. That is the most badass favicon ever. So well done. Awesome. Every time I intro myself, I like to include a relevant photo. So this is me and my youngest, Georgie. We were heading off to play tennis. I live and work in Falmouth, Maine. I have 2 amazing daughters. I love to run, swim, and uphill ski. I do host a TV show on Maine Life Media. You can find me on YouTube by typing in Maine Life Media off season. I'm the team lead of Places in Maine. Sold over 140 homes, and currently I'm on vacation, but the way this schedule works, you got to do it when you've agreed to do it. So we decided to take 3 weeks this year, so it is absolutely easy for me to take 1 hour to be with you all. Josh, thank you so much for chiming in. So I think most importantly, before we look ahead or even look to the fall and our content creation and what we're going to be looking to do in terms of engagement, I think it's really important to look back on what worked well. And just some tips that I've learned that not everyone might know about. But Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, they all make it fairly easy to understand what worked and what worked really well. So as I mentioned in my intro, I love to use Instagram. And so I have Instagram as a business account, which allows me to look at my dashboard, which is in my profile, to then look at the analytics, to then look at which posts were most engaging. And I always think it's fun. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I look every day to see how many likes or impressions or views I'm getting, to know what's trending, to see if I need to jump on something. But every once in a while, something will surprise you. And I think it's always an easy way on a rainy day like today in Maine. If you're not sure what to post about, you can just recycle ones that worked really well. I was going to have everyone kind of go through right now and talk about ones that worked well, just as an exercise to see for yourself. I can tell you personally, my highest engaging reel of the summer was a recap of a sushi making class I did. And what I've definitely learned, and I think knowing some of the folks on here, is it's the moments of high engagement that lead to future conversations of where we're trying to get them, right? Randy, are you looking at your phone right now? Did you figure out your highest engaging post?
Yeah, my highest engaging post is one of those where I went to get dirt for my garden, and I had him put a yard of dirt in the back of my Tacoma, so the bed of my truck was this far off of my wheelbase. And I just said, "Wow, when you're working on the garden, you gotta do what you gotta do." We're like, "Oh," so
Yeah.
probably 5 times my normal viewership, maybe even closer to
Wow.
10 times. So
The
just
dirt man.
silly.
The
Yeah,
dirt
dirt.
man. Yeah.
Mhm.
Andrew just joined. Andrew, thank you for joining in. Josh, what about you? What's your I don't know if on your phone. You might be driving, and if you are, don't worry about it. You driving? Or you're frozen?
Watching my kids in the pool in the pouring rain, but not going
Oh,
outside.
that's amazing. I don't know.
Um,
Did you hear what I asked?
I did, yeah. So I think my highest engaging post was just a video tour on a property, but the people who I did it, like did the listing for, had a ton of friends and they all shared it and it like blew up
Nice.
locally it was on Facebook. So but the click-through rate was like ridiculous. I don't remember the exact numbers, but like in the first 12 hours, like 6,000 views and like 800 or 900 click-throughs to the website. So it was like way more than anything we ever do. So
Yeah.
literally just because we were in a state and their influences leading.
I don't know if it's on my end, Josh, but you got a little digital. But just to capitalize on that story, thank you so much for sharing. The lesson there for me is there will always be people in our world who might have either bigger following than us or just a really strong core group of friends. And it's not that hard when you make a listing video to say, hey, can you share it? You know, I had a client today just share something, and I don't always have them share their videos. And I think sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know. But on the listing front, Josh, that's incredible just to get that much attention. And also interesting how different it is from Randy, who's just shoveling dirt into his truck and destroying the struts. And people love to see that. Andrew, I know you're driving, but we were just doing a little end of summer recap, looking at our analytics, and just sharing, you know, and maybe, you know, just from memory, kind of our top performing posts or a story about one that just did really well, with the idea of we'll learn from that as we look towards the fall.
Cool. It's hard to think about the end of summer as I'm looking at it. It's like 100 degrees on its way to 105 today and humid. So
Yeah.
well, welcome to Phoenix. You know, I've had a couple of them, but I have not done as much analytics on it as I need to get more into the analytics on it. So, and seeing what I'm actually doing.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. And yeah, I just have to remind people, I am no way thinking we're at the end of summer. I can only do one in August, but I would say, being in New England all my life, most of my life, this is the time of year where we're already like buying things for back to school, and our seasonal shift mentally is happening, whereas our heart is definitely staying on the beach and in the sand, and praying that as much as we love apple pie, it's not that close. Alyssa or John, feel free to jump in if you'd like. No pressure, but thank you all who have shared. Once you have all that content already built up and you've already shared it, Instagram, whatever platform you're on, is like essentially saved it. A great way to start thinking about whether it's towards the end of your actual summer. Up here, it might be a good end of August, just to do a look back using some of those videos, whether you pull a snippet out of it, or whether you make a carousel of like 4 of your static images just to give a recap. You can always filter in some of your sales or some of your career milestones. I think that's a great way just to recycle some of that content, so you don't feel like you're always having to create anything new. And then taking the lessons, that some of the ones we just talked, the reflections, what worked well, put a note to your future self on your calendar. Let's just say March of 2024 or April, whatever it might be, with the intent of being, hey, dude, last summer you made this post about this, it worked really well. What's it going to be this year? Just to it's really fun to get those notes, and two, help you build that content pipeline and through that schedule. Gosh, I know, summer, just please stick around. Stick around, but I had to include a beautiful photo of just autumn leaves. I don't know where that is. It looks so fake, but it is luscious. I was a big soccer player growing up, so fall always has such a special spot in my heart. It's when I just started to think about working really hard, putting on warm-ups and just getting out there to the music and playing soccer. I found this great quote as I was prepping for this discussion. Autumn teaches us the beauty of letting go. Growth requires release. It's what the trees do. I think anytime we can look to nature to provide direction or just a moment of reflection is wonderful. And it's simple. And it's just a great reminder that we don't have to change the world with everything we do, but a bunch of small little steps can have a huge impact. So as we think about the framework of our content scheduling and planning for coming out for the fall, we're going to let go of some things that might not have worked. We're going to let go of the beautiful beach photos, and we are going to try something new and continue to show that we're cutting edge, we're engaged, and we're creative. Some of the easiest things that I think of, weather is one. People just love weather. I'm a big foodie, so how food likes to change. Fashion, just love sweaters in the fall, guys. I think it's just absolutely wonderful. The activities we do, back to school, it seems to be another like pivotal moment in the year where people are like, all right, I'm going to get back in a routine, you know, and I bet there are a ton of people out there who might want to know what your new routine is, and maybe you can help them and be accountable on Instagram or DMs or however you're going to do it. And then a big part of what I was thinking about was how we can just use literally the NFL as our guide. Someone who has almost 6 months of a season. But what is so fascinating, I think, about NFL in general is just their level of engagement for how little they play in comparison to, say, baseball or basketball. So I grew up not really enjoying football or wasn't too passionate about it. And I feel like maybe it's just an adult thing, but it becomes something every Sunday that if you need a moment to relax or tune out, God, football's there for you. And I know that's exactly what they want. And you know what? Sometimes I give it to them. Any other thoughts that come up when you guys think about fall or the change of season? And not necessarily about business, but I think it's fun to have these little exercises because these are the moments that we can then grab onto as we share content and build out content.
I think one of the big drivers around like the real estate market, at least here in Utah, is like school. And I know that like, you know, parents shouldn't be excited to get their kids back in school all the time. But it's a big driving force. Like you'll legit see probably a quarter of the market here kind of slack back when they're like, oh, well, we didn't quite find a spot before, you know, the kids are in school, so we don't want to jump a mid-year. We'll resume in 6 months kind of a thing. So, I mean, it's pretty drastic, like how motivated the summers are versus fall.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's fairly substantial.
Because I almost think here, like right now in our market in this moment, I feel like people are really just enjoying summer. And I think the increase in rates are playing a part of that. But I've been talking to people who've been in the business a lot longer than me up in Maine to be like, you know, anecdotally, what happens post Labor Day? And this consensus I'm getting up here is that, oh, people start to re-engage. And, you know, I could see that being a very seasonal difference from a Northeast to like a Western community where, you know, your weather patterns tend to be a little nicer than ours. And that people might engage and disengage at different points.
Yeah.
Just can I interject here?
Oh, please.
Sorry. One of the things, and this is just an advice that I might have that I've seen over the years. Arizona, we talk about it being a very seasonal market, but it's a seasonal because the agents are not working. There's always a market. If you look at your MLS and you just do a quick search and see whatever your slowest time, let's say we're looking into August right now, do a search last year in August in your MLS and see how many homes closed.
Yeah.
If the number is 0, then our philosophy is nothing happens in August is correct. But be very careful in regards to the mindset of bringing ourselves into, oh, it's always slow here.
Yeah.
It's always slow here because sometimes I've never sold a house on, there's only 3 days a year. It's Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the 4th of July because I didn't work.
Yeah.
So get to a point where the mindset is charge ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And if other people are telling you, no, it's not going to work or the market is off or whatever, it's like, oh, that's nice. Cool. More opportunity for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I love that, Andrew. Thank you so much. And that's a great quote about the 3 days you don't sell. I'm trying to think of which holidays I've answered my phone, and I feel like Thanksgiving and 4th of July, I've definitely sold. Christmas, not so much. Yeah. I think there's a lot of memes out there about realtors. John Stokes, thank you for joining in. We're just talking about the change of the season heading towards fall, even though we all feel it is super far away. And anything you equate with in your world to that change of season, whether it's business related or not.
Oh, I tell you what, it's gonna be here before you know it. That's right after the 4th of July. It's like, putting turkey on the table already. Well, I mean, it's time to grind. I'm reading the book, the 12-week year,
Yep.
and I'm trying to follow that philosophy. Just grind for the next 12 weeks, and then the 12 weeks after that, and 12 weeks after that, and trying not to let any economy or any major catastrophe get in my way.
Yeah.
So, but no rhyme or reason. Just I'm working on Chime, and I got a bunch of leads from the Share Group, which is a pretty good group, and then I kind of veered off a little bit and got some from Off City and Realty Store, and those are just crap leads. Pardon my French. So I'm trying to go the 80%, 20% kind of rule, and trying to get rid of the 80% and concentrate on the 20%. That's better leads.
Yeah.
So and I work a full-time job too, so I'm part-time. Part-time, full-time, I should say. But so I'm just trying to grind is all.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining today. What market are you in, John?
Right in Chicagoland area.
Oh, cool. Right
Yeah.
on. Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty good out here. It's not too bad.
Yeah. Perfect.
Especially this time of year, it's a lot better than winter time.
Yeah. No, for sure. We're feeling that here too. Andrew had just made a great point about going into the MLS, and probably something I don't do enough in terms of looking at previous year's volume. And then I would imagine even more so, which, like in Maine, we have 16 counties, so this could be done pretty easily. Which county had the most activity come September or even August? And then looking, is that a ski season thing? Is it a lake season thing? And what that might be. And you kind of gear your marketing, your farming, or however that might be to that area. Would just be a way we get so much access to data through our MLS to help us use it. So I'm gonna ride the football train a little bit. Being from New England, I had to throw some Patriots swagger up there.
You know about the winners, Tom, huh?
So what does football have to do with my posting? When I was putting this together, if you missed my intro, I love for ways to find consistency. I love to just steal other schedules. And Sam, thanks for jumping in. So I started to do a lot of research on what makes football so successful, but more importantly, like, what do people do while watching football? Sprout Social is a pretty popular social media engine and reporting site. And according to a 2020 index, 45% of consumers are most likely to be on social media while watching sports events, topped only by their use to mark personal milestones. And I thought of that not so much as the people, like, let's just say, watching football and looking at their fantasy lineup, but all the other people in the room who don't really care to be there, but they might just be there by virtue of knowing someone or being a friend, are also probably hiding out on social media. And so if we know that there are, between Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night football, did they add Saturday? Maybe. you have all these great targets to start planning engaging posts. And my number one posting site is going right to Instagram. I know it really well. I love the tools it offers, and I love the different ways to engage with folks. So I'm looking at my calendar for the next at least through November as ways where I can really start to think about engaging those people who are most likely just sitting down and watching football. And it's not all going to be football related, but part of what we'll start to discuss on this next slide are all the different ways to engage with folks like that. But just wanted to iterate why I thought football was great is because they have such a set schedule. If you want to just post once every Sunday night football game and that works for you, go for it. It's a great place to start. If you're a huge football fan, that should be fairly easy because you're already going to be there and be doing it. But anyone looking to jump into social media and looking for more consistency, let's just steal the schedule of the NFL and gear that towards our audience. So I say a lot, let's post here, let's post there, but we're not just posting so people can see our stuff and like our stuff. We're posting to capture their attention, which will hopefully lead to a conversation, which then will lead to information sharing on how to get a hold of each other. And down the road, when they have thoughts on real estate, maybe they've loved your post so much that all of a sudden they're going to say, hey, Sam, hey, John, hey, Randy, hey, Andrew, my so-and-so friend, sister-in-law, brother, dad needs to sell a house. Do you think you'd be willing to help him? I kind of like your vibe, right? So I had to use some lobster traps that I captured recently while I'm on vacation because we're really good at capturing bugs here in Maine. So some tools that I have found to be just super effective polls on Instagram. So if you post a story and you do a poll, just shooting from the hip in terms of the football season, what are you prepping? What appetizer are you having? All these different ways, because then you go in and you can check which ones they're hitting. I had one last week where I think I made a comment about interest rates and how now is a really good time to buy because not everyone wants to buy with rates right now. Threw up the poll, who wants to buy? And it's amazing on who actually answers yes. Then that is just the green light for me to DM them. Hey, that's awesome. What are you looking for? How can I help you? I am too. Maybe we can collaborate on an investment. And giving yourself permission to do that by giving someone else the opportunity to say, hey, Chris, I'm raising my hand, is just a phenomenal way. And again, the way Instagram works, the more people spend time on your stuff, whether it's your story, your reel, your post, actually reading what you've written in the description, Instagram recognizes that. And then they're going to feed your content to those people more because they seem to be engaging with it. So continuing to grab their attention with polls, going the next step to actually seeing who's doing that and then following up with it. I would say even if someone answers no to a question, that's still an opportunity because they've been engaged. I've really been enjoying like how-to reels. Those seem to be like always super important. So if we're just sticking with a football theme, how do you make nachos where you live? How do you decorate your house for a football party? How do you find a way to mow the lawn during football so your neighbor who cheers for the other team gets really annoyed? I don't know. But all the different ways, right? That you find having fun on the weekend, having fun with your family, getting out together and being social within your community. People love that stuff. Also where to go. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, question on that. So when you do that posting, like, your how-tos, do you relate that to, is that more like your personal, or do you throw your real broker type of thing in there? How do you segue between the two?
Yeah, that's great. You missed a bit of my intro, John, but what I like to tell people, what's worked really well for me in Instagram particularly is I'm about 70% kind of just lifestyle and this character Chris and what I do, and about 30% real estate. So like if you were to look at my profile right now, you'd have an idea that I do real estate, but then you'd also see a sailing video, a sushi video, a listing video, And I don't necessarily have a rhyme or reason to what stuff goes where, as much as this is my life and this is what I do, and I'm not afraid to share it. Please welcome into my world. And if I can help you, great. It's kind of a
That's great.
roundabout way of answering your question, but my point being, like, whatever, I wouldn't put a fence up or, you know, guidelines to posting, especially when you're starting out, is so much to say like, yo, I just figured out how to mount, you know, the phone holder onto my windshield. For those of you who don't know, here's how to do it.
Right.
Because those little things get so much traction, because even though everyone knows how to do it, they might think you have a secret way to do it, and they just have to watch till the end to figure it out. And it's magical. And that's where I think some of those videos are like just so engaging, because people do things, whether, you know, cooking always seems to be a really popular one. But, you know, if you're a big football fan and you're watching football, or you're getting ready to go out, you know, it could be something as silly as how you do your hair for a football party, John. And I bet people would be so excited.
It's dark blue on one side and orange on the other side.
There you go. And so
That's great.
yeah, and part of my background and what I'd say my philosophy is just always encouraging people to put themselves out there, because I truly believe your audience recognizes that. And if they can trust what you're doing is authentic and real, they're definitely going to see that. And then many people can see that, because the internet's an amazing tool and used correctly. And that's a great way to kind of increase the people who have that immediate trust in you.
Yeah, that's perfect. We were just talking about that same thing with Ray Allen and Tim Macy today, and then we went. My brother kind of, you know, took what we learned or what they were saying, and we kind of went with that same topic. You know, I would just be yourself, be real. No pun intended.
Yeah, and those are two insanely good role models to follow and learn from. I know someone else posted about them today on Break Room about a golf post based on what they learned, and I thought that was really cool. So yeah,
good stuff. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for asking. And so I just wrote, sprinkle in some real estate seasoning. I always like to think of my audience as different characters. And so if I'm thinking about the football party, like maybe Jenny is sitting there and doesn't like football, but she loves looking at Zillow. So if I can just put up a little piece of real estate with a little poll, like, hey, who would love to be sitting in this waterfront cottage right now? Someone raises their hand, yes, well, then you can just send them a link to a property that you've already kind of preloaded to get them interested and engaged. And then I play out the scenario even further, because this is what I do. I just think of ideas. And then, you know, the husband or the partner or the friend is like, Jenny, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, this guy just sent me this link to this waterfront property. And they're like, oh my gosh, let me see. And all of a sudden this whole party is talking about real estate, not football. I have no reason to think that could not happen. And that would be amazing. So using the game time as your engaged time could be one simple tool this fall to keep yourselves accountable on that football schedule, to keep your fall content going. And remember, we're producing this content to engage our audience, to then get a DM or a poll response, to then follow up with that audience member. And maybe, just maybe in 2024, they or someone they know is going to be wanting to use your services, and you will then have their contact information to make that request. Any other success stories or other ways that you, I would say, capture them throughout Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, that anyone's found helpful?
I'll jump in real quick, Chris. I don't know if it kind of falls in line. I think you've said it on some of your other trainings, or we've had this conversation, but I think for me, the goal of social media is to move people from random to acquaintance. What I'm doing and where things are, it moves that along, because in the end, you know, no one's going to buy a house just because, I mean, maybe they will because of a client review, but they're going to buy a house because they saw you, I think it was Randy, load his truck and realize, oh, he's a real dude and knows how to load a truck. And then he showed a video of his kid, and then he shows all these other things, and then he does the real estate, you know? So it's kind of like when I met your wife the first time, Chris, I was like, yeah, I kind of know you already, just from the simple fact that I kind of know your life because I've watched you on Instagram and stuff for, you know, a year. So,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just look at like, if your goal is just conversion, then you can feel really frustrated. But if your goal is to just like connect with people and help them move from random follower to acquaintance to friend, then a post about, like, I mean, literally, this is my view right now. Not that anyone really cares, but my kids are in the hot tub in the pouring rain. And so like, I just posted it on Facebook because why not? Like, because people know that my kids are out in the rain in the hot tub. And so,
Yeah.
I don't know, just a level of realness to who we are. So
Oh, way to say realness too. Yeah. Random to acquaintance to friend, you know, I think that is such a wonderful, simple way to kind of think about the journey of what we're doing and why we're doing it. I think there's also a nice freedom in that, Josh, that really opens up the playing field. You know, as long as you're professional and appropriate, you really should feel like you can post almost anything in your life. Again, that is professional and appropriate, but with the idea of that people are always wanting to learn more about us, and that's pretty much human nature. And we're going to lose some people along the way, and that is totally fine, because the goal of showing who we are and how we do and what we do is just to attract those who want to be a part of it. Awesome. So we've captured them.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Oh, please.
I'm brand new to Reel, so I am just building my own little avatar right now. I've been giving back to heroes in my community for a long time. As you can see behind me, that's my electric car I have wrapped, and I drive it everywhere. So
Awesome.
people in my community know me as the veteran realtor, as well as helping heroes out there. Now, just starting off with Reel, what kind of tools does Reel have that I don't know about? Maybe you got the secret sauce somewhere out there that I haven't found yet. I'm an IT guy, so I'm searching everywhere. I'm on AI. I'm everywhere. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Give me some advice. Just starting out with Reel. What tools are out there that I just don't know?
I mean, I've been at Reel for almost 16 months. I'd say the greatest tool are just the people. Like John mentioned earlier, Zoom, that he jumped on with kind of two of the OG all-stars of Reel. By following people within Reel, I have just learned so much about myself and about where I want to take my business. In terms of the actual tools, if you're an IT guy, Josh, who's on this, posted a great story the other day. He was sitting there watching his kids in the pool, and Chime AI qualified a $600,000 buyer out of Boston for him. And Josh is about 3 hours north of Boston. So I think in that regard, utilizing Chime, if that's what you prefer, and the AI tools there are incredible.
And
but
Leo
I-
just came.
Yeah, Leo, I still have no idea how that's going to help me, but I know it will, because the guys behind it are incredible. But I do love when I go on the app that bar is just like,
Right, that's cool.
you know. I get
Hey, can I throw something out there?
yeah.
I was just gonna say, what I like to do too, and I know a lot of people like to do, is just go on the Reel calendar and go on to everybody's got masterminds and whatnot, and you'll find your vibe, you'll find your tribe, you know. Your vibe is your tribe, and you'll find the people that you can sync up with, you know, pretty easy, I would say.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, the energy surrounding a new company, I think, is something that is just dive in head first. I was fortunate enough to go to the first Reel conference last year in San Antonio. That's where I met Randy. Randy's in Utah. Him and I are, you know, if it made sense to have a Maine, Utah business, we would. But right now we're just like growing business partners, I'd call it. But I just find all the tools that Reel provides allows me more time to focus on content, outreach, my marketing, and my clients. And that's been really helpful. But thank you for all the work you're doing, Sam. That looks like an awesome car. I'm also in the EV world. But I know from a lot of folks in Reel, we have an incredible network of folks who are very focused on the veterans and helping them.
Yeah, I just got accepted to the veteran group, so I'm excited about that too.
Congrats, that's great.
And share all the stuff that I know as a vet and buying houses several times with my VA and understanding that there's all sorts of benefits for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and even, I mean, I've done a few VA loans. I do mainly other ones, but you being able to share your experience on that is like such an asset to all of us. Those connections you're able to make, and then in terms of referrals and stuff like that, you know, it's pretty amazing what then could come of that. So I'd love to learn more from you in one of these, Sam.
I'd love to share what I learned. It's pretty amazing what's out there for veterans, and a lot of veterans don't even realize they have the benefits. So
Yeah.
it's very important that they know.
Yeah. What a great piece of content to put out there. It's kind of not necessarily in the similar vein, but we see a lot, you know, there's still people out there who don't know that you can do loans for less than 20%, you know, and we're the experts and we're the ones who can drive the ship by educating people in all the different ways they can get into something.
And if they're service connected like I am, they waive the funding fee. I don't know if anyone knows that. They waive the funding fee, and that could save them a good $10,000 on the purchase.
Oh, wow.
The funding fee is a lot.
Yeah. Awesome.
So if I may jump in again, where are you from?
I'm in Santa Clarita,
Georgia.
California.
Okay,
California.
Cool. There's a guy that just started also, not 6 months ago. He's killing it. He's still in the Navy. So obviously he's a veteran, and he's working a lot with veterans. He's in San Antonio. And he, like I said, he's just starting out too. So maybe, his name is Corey, Kori, Raddick, Raddick. And he's always willing to lend a hand, and you guys could probably vibe up on the Veterans Affairs and the whole deal.
Absolutely. And I've been doing this a long time, and I have lots of connections for veterans that need assistance with their benefits and things like that as well. So
Right.
I'm always out there in the VA world, just, helping wherever I can.
Awesome. That's
Appreciate
sweet.
your service.
Likewise. All right, I'm going to throw a random question out of there. Does anyone eat apple cheese on their apple pie? No, it's such a weird thing my dad does. I think it's like an old-fashioned Maine thing. He thinks the best thing, better than ice cream, better than whipped cream, is a slice of sharp cheddar on an apple pie, which I can understand the sharpness and the sweetness. Like that's a sweet and sour thing, or there's always like that flavor that's a yin and a yang. But I think most people like myself just prefer ice cream. So to bring in this is my segue back into the content. What is your flavor? We've talked a little bit. We've thrown out some ideas. Whether you just want to throw it up in the chat, or even you guys have been great about just jumping in and keeping this collaborative, and that's awesome. That's what I prefer, because we can be as far away as we are, yet we can all feel so close. Another trick and tool of Real. But anyone throughout this 30-40 minutes so far, does anyone have an idea for the fall? Anything they want to do on a consistent basis in their world, in their market, to help build up 2024?
I really want to concentrate on my not my sphere, but my geo farming. I haven't done a lot of that. Every time I see a sign for another realtor, I cringe. So I really want to take the reins on that front. I got about 500 houses. I'm in subdivisions outside of Chicago, so I got about 250 in my subdivision, and then just they're growing. I got a lot of new builds too. They're growing like crazy, so I want to get on a new build front also.
Nice.
So
How do you do that?
good question. I got to work on. I had inquired about it a little bit, but I haven't took action, so I need to revisit that.
Awesome. Do you like football? You're a Bears fan, right?
Yep, I do.
I
And
mean, like,
Pittsburgh.
I don't like to give people ideas, but maybe in that subdivision, is there something they can drive by your house and see every game day? Can you be that guy with a hashtag that suddenly they're popping up in the algorithm because the internet knows you all live in the same subdivision, and then people are going to stop by because you do wings at 10 o'clock I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas, but you know,
That'd be a good idea.
I think subdivisions to
golden
me
chili.
subdivisions to me have an incredible opportunity by virtue of your proximity to others. I don't know the makeup of the ins and outs of the neighborhood, but man, like not that you want to dress up your house as a billboard, or you might have some restrictive covenants, but if people are always driving by and or you're always, it's kind of like the walk the dog and say hi to the neighbor technique. But
Yep.
I know Chicago's a pretty big sports town. And so, maybe there is something for game day or for football that, whether you hand out a flyer and or give the weekly report somehow on Instagram to engage, that could be a good way to geo-farm relatively easy and inexpensively.
Yeah, that's good ideas. Thank you.
You got it. All right, chat's blowing up. I'm going to start having quarterly client events. I love that. I just did my first one ever in July, and it was amazing. Highly recommend that. So Kara, excited to hear how that does. Josh is making great points about my dad and how my content with him does really well. So thank you, Josh. All right, Randy, what about you? You said your fall is kind of slow. Andrew made a great point. Houses are still moving.
For sure.
Where are your thoughts at?
I think I could definitely get additional engagement because our two largest schools here in Utah just made a switch of divisions. So I think they moved from the Pac-12 to the Big 10, now Big 12.
Big 10.
I don't know how you add teams that are set in numbers. If
Me
two
neither.
people leave the Pac-12, is it now the Pac-10? Anyways,
The Big 10 has 12 teams.
And
yeah,
I think it's 18, isn't it?
BYU and the University of Utah just switched divisions and are now in the same division for the first time since 2010. So I think there's going to be some huge like fan rivalries based in that. So I think like putting content around that, especially for this season, could be fun because the mashup is called the Holy War. So for the first time in a hot minute, those two teams won't be playing each other this season, but I think it'd pay off like, oh, well, when we meet next season, what's the score going to be? So really playing into that, I think could be like fun and like, hey, how do we get you closer to the stadium? So
I think just based on everyone jumping in right then and me Googling it, it's still unclear how many teams are in the Pac-12. I'm seeing 4, I'm seeing 8. So Randy, I see a whole just, what is
Sure.
up with this?
Yeah.
And we need a rebrand out there.
Yeah. I think everyone other than the SEC, if they have a number, they need a rebrand for sure.
Yeah.
I think Big 10 is the Big 18, and the Pac-12, Pac-12, I think, is about 6 or 7 teams left right now.
Well, that just makes zero sense, kind of like cheese on apple pie. Andrew, what about you? Any thoughts on the fall ahead for your work, your content?
Absolutely. It's becoming the economist, being able to talk to your clients about and get them through the noise that's out there, and finding out that houses are still selling. People, interest rates, we have a generation of buyers and sellers that have never seen anything above 3% in loans. So
Yeah.
as agents and as we grow into it, we've got to be able to have that conversation with the clients that, yes, you're going from a 2% house, 2% interest rate to a 7% interest rate. And if you don't do that, we're not going to be able to pivot, and it'll impact us as we're going. So what I'm looking to do is do more conversations with clients that here's what the new normal is. If you want a 3% interest rate, let me get my Wayback Machine. Yeah, you missed it last year. So and even come with humor in regards to it. It's like, here's where we are now.
Yeah.
So we can continue to grow.
Absolutely. That's so true, Andrew. Like, I think of the number one question I've gotten from, standing at a party and people are like, so interest rates affecting what's going on, and people listen to the noise, which gives us free permission to be the noise. And we can do it in a way that is providing great advice, but also I just keep thinking of it as the opportunity for people right now. And my market is incredible to get out there and buy. And hopefully in a few years you can refi, or if rates go up, you did better. But people, I find, are always pining for, I need to know when is the right time and when is this and that, and gearing that towards that. I could see a lot of people just wanting to follow you purely to feel that trust. That's great.
I'm starting to do some stuff with Keeping Current Matters now. I'm noticing that a lot of his stuff is very positive on the market where it is right now,
Mhm.
and really does some great education on what people have been predicting for a while.
Yeah.
The so-called professionals, they're wrong. And our goal, what we have to do is educate the public. What you're seeing is wrong. It hasn't happened. Susie Orman was wrong. All these professionals that people want to listen to, these gurus, they were incorrect with what they guessed. So we need to let them know it's still a great time to buy. You're still under 10%. You're still like, what, the 80s was like 19%, 23%. We're still not at that point.
Yeah.
So, you only, what is it? You only date your rate. You're married the house, you date the rate. So it's like, okay, well, let's realize that you're not in a bad area right now when it comes to interest rates.
Yep.
And you can always refi when the market adjusts, and you can always refi it.
Totally. And not enough people think that long ahead, or they think, this is the wrong time, and we can help redirect that conversation to say, what's your budget? Is your goal to own a house? Let's get you there. That's the important thing.
Yeah, when I tell them on that type of note, you just pay a couple of dollars more than to the principal, that adds up quick, and that kills the rate right there.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, take a look at how much renting is right now. If you take a look at your neighborhoods, all our communities, the rent prices are going way up right now. So if you take a look at how much you're renting a house, you don't have any ownership. Why would you want to rent? Really? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. I'm trying to think of I love the Instagram post when people break down like buying in 2022 versus 2023, and like how the house is the same, the rate is different, but the down payment can be a little different. And that money, the down payment difference, you could use to buy down your rate. You could be in an actual better situation right now. So there are ways that we can use music and dance in our reels and little blurbs hitting that can be. And if anyone I can DM that to anyone. I just saw one from someone in my market and it was great. But I cannot talk about fall and leave out sweater season. Is there a high-end boutique or any type of store, outdoor store you can go to, make a reel for them this fall? Doing community content is such a great way to get your stuff exposed to others and to get it shared throughout. I'm just going to keep thinking about you, John, like find the mailman, mailwoman in your subdivision, figure out what their favorite that you learn that. And they're going to be like, man, you're so good. I've been looking for a seasonal gift to give the mail person.
Hey, you froze on me. You froze on me for like 5 seconds. Can you go back real quick?
I was just picking on you in the subdivision and how you probably have maybe one mail carrier. And if you figure out from them what their favorite fall dessert is, you get the whole neighborhood to make the mail carrier the same dessert. You would have one epic viral post. And it all started with you.
I got a perfect one. Apple pie with cheese on top.
There you go. I heard of this crazy kid in Maine talking about it. Apple picking is a really big tradition from where I am. So, which orchard can you highlight? County fairs are such great places to go. any place with carnies, really, you can walk around with a camera and you have content galore. Interview people on what the best food is at the fair, make yourself the newscaster there and have a lot of fun. People are then most likely are going to ask you, oh, that's great. What night's good to go? How much did it cost? Where should I park? Or they're going to walk up to you and say, wow, I just saw you on Instagram. This is so cool. So putting yourself out there, finding time to enjoy yourself. I'm not saying we work all the time, but it's pretty easy with cell phones these days to just continue that celebrity focus to engage with others. And then always with the follow-up. So as we build out these engagement tools, we put up these polls, we have these conversations on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, follow up with the DMs, figure out ways you can continue that conversation. If you can ask that business to share it on their page, connect with followers through that. Anytime you can ask someone for their email so they can get exclusive ideas from you as you bring up new ones. Because when they love our content, they think of us for real estate because they're going to associate our content with what we do to make a living and have so much fun. So it's one thing just to put out the content, but it's the most important thing to make sure we're following up and engaging with those folks. As Josh mentioned, to go from the stranger to the acquaintance to the friend. However you see that to be working for you or natural, strongly encourage that to always be the end focus because we're all gearing towards a massive 2024. I always include this. Oh, go ahead.
I said I need it.
You'll get it. Changing that mindset right there. You can't wait
Go
for
back
it.
here, I will. Right.
Just a little blip into my world. I love to do warm-ups for my videos. I shoot them very fast. I shoot them quickly. I do it without thinking too much, but having a prepared body and a prepared mind and a prepared energy allows me to move through that content quicker, and just making sure you have time in your day allocated to posting. This is my Instagram handle. If you don't follow me, let's definitely connect. Let's collaborate. Let's help each other. Let's share tips. I always say for homework, try to do one video or reel a week, 3 stories a week with some talking points on how to, or where to, or what to do. Feel free to DM me for inspiration. I will be back next month. And I have just decided in September, sorry, I'm just getting through my slides. We're going to do the gear of the year list. And spoiler alert, you don't need a ton of gear, but there are some fun ones that can just make some of your videos that much more fun, including software. So that's what I want to talk about in September, which I believe it's always the second week, 2:00 Eastern time. And thank you all for those of you who continue to show up each month. It really means a lot. And Sam, it's great to meet you. John, it's really great to meet you. Andrew, thank you for joining.
Appreciate it.
Kara, it's awesome to have you again. Alyssa. And I know we had Josh and a few others who had to step out.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you so much for the insight. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. What do you think? Was this a good talk?
It was great.
Awesome. I had a lot of fun.
I really appreciate that.
I've got
Glad I
about
jumped on.
20-mile-an-hour winds and rain coming right off the coast, but it'll be summer tomorrow, and I'll just think fall for the next 6 hours. But yeah, let's get
some of our weather.
Yeah.
We're at 100 degrees. Actually, we're a little cooler. We're at 90, 96 today.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Lots of
Right down
sunscreen and
88
water.
sunny.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, I am going to end it right there. Thank you all again. Thank you all for being a part of Real. What a great community we have here. Reach out anytime. Enjoy creating that content, engaging with as many people as you can, and let's have a great rest of the August.
Enjoy your
guys.
vacation, Chris.
Yeah.
And thank
Chris.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Go Bears.